Well, hello and welcome to the main event. This is the video where we're actually going to create the automation, or in Zapier, what they call a zap, to send out that free rental analysis directly from your website when it is requested from a potential client of yours. So far, we have created a mail parser account and learned how to create rules in mail parser, create a rental meter account, and learned where to find that API code. Now we're going to step into Zapier. Hopefully, you've created your account, a free account, and you should have a home screen that looks something similar to this. Probably don't have as many folders as I do. And you can start this off by either saying create Zap or come over here in the folder and create Zap here. Now, this might be a little bit of a longer video. I have already have the automation or Zap created, so I'm going to walk you through each step of that creation. Um, now, what I would recommend you doing at each step, go ahead and pause the video, and hopefully you have like a dual screen setup where you can have my video on one screen and your Zapier screen on another, and you can make it look exactly like mine. Um, and that is the starting point. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and hit that create zap. Since I already have it, you'll hit this create zap button, but I will just click into the one that's already there. And here we go. Alrighty. So what you can see here, first thing I'm going to tell you to do is just go ahead and name this. Name this something that you'll remember what it is. Um, Free rental analysis automation, something of that nature. All right. From there, you got to create that trigger that we've been talking about. So this is the event that starts the whole automation. Now, really, the event that starts the whole automation is when a potential client fills in that information on your free form over here and comes in here and types in their name and all that stuff. But as we went through before, that information gets sent a notification over to your mail parser account. And so in my case, it hits this rental analysis request form, and that's what we set it up to find. So when it finds a new email to parse, or your mail parser gets a new email to parse, that's what creates it. So our trigger event is mail parser. So you just come in here and you just type in mail parser right here to find it. There it is. So I'd click that. And then the trigger event is just a new email parse. They only have one trigger event for this, so it's pretty simple. And then you choose your account, which is you just attach your account to to uh, to Zapier, and that's pretty simple. If it's already attached, you just connect new account and you'll go through it, and it'll attach the account. And usually, if you're using like Google or Chrome, it has all your information saved. It's like a 2-click process, pretty simple stuff. Then you want to set up your trigger. And the trigger is you just identify the inbox that your data is coming into. And so, like I said, our data is coming in this rental analysis request. So that is the inbox I selected, rental analysis request. So now we're going to test our trigger. And you can see it's already been tested. So when you test it, it should pull in like the last one. I would highly recommend going at and filling out that form yourself so it goes over your, so you have test data to work with. This is my test data that we're going to work with. And you can see it's pulled in all those. So all of these, besides the text, the message ID, and the process times, name, text, tracked email, real email, phone, address, city, zip, bathrooms, bedrooms. That's all parsed rules data. So that's all that data that I had it go out and find those text messages. So now I have it right here in Zapier to work with to create my automations with. All right. So that's the very first step. That's the trigger. So now the next two steps are related to how rental meter works. And so let's go over here to rental meter real quick to look at how rental meter works. So if you manually go in, so I imagine the old school way of you doing this was you get somebody that fills out a form. You go in and type in the address, an estimated rent, what their bedrooms, bathrooms are, and then all this data comes up, and then you click on the, uh, you know, report branding, and then you click on Get Pro Report, and you get that PDF and you plop it into an email and send it to them. Okay, so I'm not going to go too. I would imagine most of you are pretty familiar with it. However, it's the number of bedrooms and another bathroom. So we know in Renometer that they don't care about anything above 1.5 bathrooms. And then they used to max this out at 4 bedrooms, guys. Now it's up to 6. I actually don't even know when they made that change. However, that does play a role in what we're about to talk about. So back over here to Renometer. So now we got to talk about, okay, since we know they have a cap on the numbers of bathrooms, let's talk about that. So this is just a simple rule within Zapier. So the next, you're creating an action step. And so the action step is simply formatter. It's over here. You would just click format. And then the action event is where we're dealing with numbers. So you tell it we're dealing with numbers. And then you're going to tell it what we want to do. And so in this situation, we're creating a formula because we're going to have an if-then situation. Because if the number is greater than 1.5 bathrooms, we can only tell it to have 1.5 bathrooms. So that's what we're telling. So we got to create this formula here. All right. So the formula looks exactly like this. I would pause your screen right now and duplicate this. So pause. I'll give you a couple seconds, and then I would duplicate this. So go ahead and pause now. Okay, welcome back. So I'm assuming you've already duplicated this, and we can move on. But what you're doing here is you're just telling it that if you have more than 1.1 bathrooms, which you're never going to have 0.1 bathrooms, but if you have more than 1.1 bathrooms, then the value that you're going to return is 1.5. If you don't have more than 1.1, so it's assuming it's 1, the value you're going to return is 1. So let's test this action. We have 5.5. So when we test it, it should come back 1.5. There you go. All right. So moving on. We're actually going to do the exact same step again, but this time for bedrooms. So once again, formatter by Zapier, click format. Once again, the action events numbers, and then we're selecting spreadsheet style formula. So I'm going to tell you to go ahead and pause here. All right, welcome back. In this case, what we're telling it is if there's more than 4 bedrooms, we want it to return the number 4. If it's less than 4 numbers, we want it to return the number of bedrooms that it actually has. So in our case, there's 6 bedrooms. So when we do run this test, it should return the number 4. Let's do it. It does. Okay. Now, it can go up to 6, but I'm going to stick with 4. And I'm doing this for a reason because I'm not as familiar with your markets. You can make this call, and it's an easy thing to change. If you want to take it up to 5 or 6, you can. However, there's not a lot of houses that have more than 4 bedrooms, and the data gets pretty slim. In fact, a lot of times, if there's more than 4 bedrooms on the sample property, Riddlemeter will come back and say that there's not enough data, and it doesn't even run the report, and that would fail this whole action. And we don't want to fail the action. So we want, our goal is to actually get a report run, and so we're going to stick with the 4. And maybe you'll get a call from a person going, "Hey, the rent seems low. It's a 6-bedroom house," or yada, yada, yada. Well, that's okay because the idea is to start up a conversation with a potential client, anyways. So it's accomplishing the purpose. And you can say, "Oh yeah, our system stops at 4 bedrooms. I understand what you're saying. Let me dive a little deeper and look into the data myself." And then you can really look like the hero. So once again, it's the whole point here is to start a conversation with a potential client, provide something, so it still serves that purpose. So I'm going to keep it at 4. All right. So that's now you've got your data and you're ready to now go get that information out of Renometer. So that's the next step that we're going to do here. So as we go through here, so the next action step that we do, you choose your app and event. The app is going to be Renometer. So you type in Rentometer. There it is right there, Renometer. Okay. We've already got it. And then the action event that we're going to do is there's only one. We're going to get rent analysis. And that's because it does it through the API. Okay. Now this is where that piece of information I had you go hunt down is very important. Okay. When you attach the account, if I said connect a new account here, la, 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 okay. Okay, now it's going to tell you to go out and get that API key. Remember we went out and found that API key earlier? Up here under my account, API credits, here's my API key. So you would just copy, come back over here. Where to go? Looks like it. There it is right there. Copy and paste it there, and you say yes, continue, and you would attach your account. That's what you need it for. That's where it's at. All right, feel free to pause anywhere on that to get that data. Once you got that, your account is attached. You would hit continue. Okay, and so now you're setting up your action. So now you got to tell it, you got to tell it to what address it's going to hunt down. So this is, once again, I would pause this screen right here and put in exactly what I have here, guys. Don't do it any differently than what I have right here. Pause. Okay, welcome back. Now I'm going to explain to you what we're doing here. So you can tell by the icons what we did is we went out to here and we selected the address and the zip code, which is, it's in here. There it is, zip text. The reason why we did that, well, that's interesting. The zip text is saying Charles, so it's returning the wrong zip text in my parser. Let's go fix that. All right. So this is a little on the fly fix up. So we're going to go to rules over here, and my zip text is returning the wrong thing. Yeah, see, look at that. It's returning Charles. So let's fix this whole thing up because it's not returning the right thing. So it's not right. That's not right. It's not right. I'm just deleting a lot of this stuff because they're not needed. Okay, so here we go. So for this one, how we're going to build this here is I'm going to go down and find where the zip code is. All right, so the zip code is down here. So I am going to find out property address. So I'm going to add text filter. I'm going to say find start position. And if yours is working, you can just fast forward past this part, guys. But I'm going to say text match after property address. See that? Boom. And then I might even be able to throw in this guy. Oh, see, that didn't work. So we're going to leave that alone. We're going to delete it. So property address. Okay. Now we're going to add another text filter. And it's going to be another start position. So it's going to be the exact same one again. Text match after my vertical line. There it is. Okay. So now what I am going to do is I am going to say find end position. And I am going to say after X number of lines and 3 lines. Did that work? Oh, that crop. No, I didn't want to say that. I wanted to after. There we go. Now 3 lines. There we go. Okay. Now we are going to say define start position, and we are going to say keep last word 1. And there's my zip code. I'm going to say, okay, looks good. Zip, validate, and save. And we have it. So now I want to go back to the emails. So now it's going to reparse it again. And that's okay. So now it's working correctly. I can come back here, and what I can do is I can come back up here and I can test the trigger again. So let's give it our test here. Let's see if it came in. Test the trigger. And let's go out and grab that information again. See, there it is. It's working right. So now we have it right. Okay. All right. So hopefully you guys, thanks for bearing with me on that. I had made a little mistake, but that's as easy as it is to fix it. So I'm glad we got that opportunity actually. Okay. So now we're going to be back to setting up the text test action again. Okay. So once again, go ahead and pause it here if you haven't already done this and make it look like mine. Welcome back. So what we're going to do here, so in the mail parser, so you're going out and grabbing that data in the previous steps is essentially what you're doing. So we have our address text, and then we have our zip text. And the reason why I do that is because rather than trying to confuse rental meter with the city and state, I've always found that you can always just type in a street address and a text, and it goes out and finds the right address. So I'm trying to keep this a little bit simpler. Then on the bedrooms, um, we use that formatted text. So that was the third thing we formatted was that was the third step was when we formatted the bedrooms. Remember, it was since we had 6 bedrooms, we returned 4. So we're telling it that go out and find the information, do a rental analysis based on properties with 4 bedrooms. Now for bathrooms, guys, this is where it gets a little hairy. Um, you can do a custom one here where you tell it number of bathrooms 1 or 1.5, but the API doesn't. I have found the API really doesn't like this, so you have to select 1 or 1.5. And so I've just gotten in the habit of just saying 1.5 plus. I've always found that the number of bathrooms, if you've got more than one bathroom, it doesn't make a ton of difference in the rental rates, especially with a rental meter, especially when you're talking about a half bath versus one bath. It's just for the purposes of this. Once again, the primary purpose here is to start a conversation. So even if it's only a one bath property and a potential client calls you out on it, then you can have that conversation and just say, oh, yeah, sometimes it just automatically ups it to 1.5 bathrooms. So I always just keep it at 1.5 bathrooms. And I really haven't ever had a problem with it, guys. So that's how I do it. You can choose to do it however you want. All right. Now, this is the next. So when you test this, um, we're going to test and review here. There's some big things that come back that I want to go over here with you. Okay. So, one, it comes back with the mean rent, comes back with the median rent, the minimum rent, the maximum rent, the 25th and 75th percentiles. These are always the big numbers I focus in on. Your standard deviation, how many samples, so that's how many properties it went out and found 13, in a 5-mile radius. Okay. Now, if you provide this link, you could go straight to the report via website. However, what you have here, it also goes out and requests. This is new. This is the big new thing that's really cool. Is it goes out and requests that pro report. It's only requesting it. Hasn't not created it yet. It takes anywhere from 5 to 20 seconds for it to actually create the downloadable report, which is why we use the next step. Okay. So the next step that we do here is we're doing a delay. So we're delaying the rest of this automation for a certain period of time. And so our action event, so if you go here, it's delay. It's on the right hand. It's a very common thing. So they just put it right there. You hit the delay button and then you tell it for how long. So the action event is delay for. So you're just delaying for a period of time. Okay. And then you set up the action. And so you're telling it how long are we delaying it for? The minimum delay time is 1 minute. All right. So you can tell it however, you could tell it 50 minutes if you wanted. Okay. And but for the purposes of this, we're delaying it for the minimum time, 1 minute, because we got to give it that 5 to 20 seconds to create that report so we can get access to it. So that's what we're doing here, okay? As we're creating that delay for 1 minute, okay? Now, the key here though, and this is a conversation to have. In fact, I think because I'm going to actually start using this one versus the other one I have created here, I'm going to delay it for 23 minutes. And the reason why I'm doing this is because if I delay this step, that actually delays the next step and the final step, which is sending the email. And my goal when I create an automation is to make it seem like it's not an automation. If somebody puts a request in online for a free rental analysis and they've got that in their email in a minute and a half, if they're smart enough, they're going to realize they didn't actually do anything. Some bot went out and did this, and it's less genuine to them. And as a person, but if it takes a half hour, it takes an hour and a half, or even you can delay it for 24 hours and say, hey, sorry, in your email, you can say, hey, sorry, it took me a day to get this worked up for you. It'll seem more like a human's actually doing it for them. So this is where I would set that. For my purposes, I'm going to make it seem like, yeah, somebody got the email and spent 20 minutes and got it back to them. That's what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to say delay for 23 minutes. Okay. But that's the purpose of the delay is not so much two purposes. We're using it for two purposes, but you absolutely got to delay it for at least 1 minute so that this next step works. Okay. Now this next step here, this is what is called a webhook. Now this is getting into the technical API stuff. I am not going to get into the technicalities of this with you guys. I'm just going to tell you to copy my screen exactly like it looks. That's it. There are we're doing a get action for the API behind the rental meter. Uh, for it's something to do with the JSON web programming. I know just enough to be a little dangerous, um, and so I was able to put this together. But if you really want to get advanced with this backend stuff, you're going to have to hire a web developer. But for the purposes of this one, this is exactly what you need to type in. And I'm not going to really try to get too much. You're going to select webhooks by Zapier. Your action event is going to be get. You can do get, post, put, or custom request. You want to do get. It's very important that it's get. Then when you set up your text action, this is okay. So here again, type in, freeze frame this, pause it. Okay. Now, welcome back. I hope you typed this in exactly. Your API key. That's the special key that you had to use to attach the account, but also you got to put it here as well because you're using your API key to get this information. So if you put in this number, repause, delete that key, and put your own API key in there. Okay, otherwise it won't work. The token. This is super simple. You go back up to here, and this is part of what you got out of that data when you ran it. You got the token. You already have it, so you just put the token value there. That's all there is to it. You don't change anything else here, and then you test your action. And what will happen when you test your action is you're going to get Oh, come on, test. Well, hopefully. Maybe. Set empty fields. Let's pause here, and I'm going to go fix this, and I'll be right back. Okay, guys, I'm back. What I did wrong there was actually I hadn't tested the delay. So even though it's kind of a funny thing, you do have to test the delay. So make sure you test the delay. And what I was going to say is, yep, our delay works, and that's all it means. So, but then you can test the next one, and when you test the next one, retest. And oh, there we go. So now this here is the important part to understand is that you have this href here, okay? And then we're going to use this here in a second, okay? So now when we come down, we're going to set up our email. So once again, I don't know, not once again, but uh, Gmail. I use Gmail. If you use Outlook, you can just type in Outlook here or whatever, and they any GoDaddy is hooked up. So I mean, any any email service that you use, you can probably use with uh with Zapier here. So it's not limited to Gmail. We just happen to use G Suite, so that's why I'm using Gmail. So send email. It's real simple as your action event. Continue. Okay. So now, once again, you got to attach your email account, which is free to do, no big deal. And so now you're setting up who to send it to. And so now you're picking that where did that email come from when you got that parsed information. So that's the tracking email. And so you come down here and you select your email that it's going to go to. And then the next thing is you select your account. Maybe you have multiple accounts. I have a couple different accounts. I have a utilities account stuff, so that we do some stuff with. So I'm selecting that's my account, and I type in who I want it to say it's coming from. So I just say Joe Ord at Amoso Properties, and in the subject, I'm going to say your free rental analysis, and I'm going to customize this a little bit for, and I'm going to type in, I'm going to select that uh, address text there. So there you go. Okay. Um, for the purposes of this, just leave it body type plain, and then you can. So now you create the body of your text. So I just say the name of the person, which you get from those fields up there. Thanks for reaching out and requesting this rental analysis. Someone from Mimosa Properties will be in touch soon to discuss it with you. Sincerely. And then I have a signature in Gmail, so I just tell it what signature to pick. It uses that signature, and then here are my attachments. And so my attachments come from this um, uh, come from that last step, and that's going to be that pro report, hopefully. So I would pause here, and I'm going to pause with you. I would pause here and go out and get this all set up just like I have it here. And I'm going to go ahead and hit the pause button too, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, I'm back real quick. So we now have this set up correctly. And when you send the email, you will see in the email you will receive this email here, and you will have your attachment down here. So it works out very nicely. Um, and I hope you guys enjoy this automation and it works out well for you. And if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email, which I'll put on this sheet as well. And I will be happy to do my best to help you out. Enjoy, and I enjoyed meeting you all at NARPM. And for those of you I did not meet at NARPM, I hope to meet you soon.